Is there a chance that Santi could emulate what Zidane has done? And I know that is a big ask. Can he go close? Because he's got essentially the same players except for Ronaldo.
How can you even chip a little piece out of 3 Champions League victories in the trot? I mean,
so what is success for Real Madrid this season under Santi?
Santi has to push Barcelona all the way in the league and have a decent run in the Champions League to have any chance. I think the chances are slim. He's in exactly the same position that Zidane was in.
Yep.
Zidane was put in charge, in my opinion, until they could figure out who they actually really wanted. Now, Zidane turned around and won 3 Champions League titles. Is Santi going to do that? I don't think so. Listen, unless something incredible happens, then Santi will be gone at the end of the year, and I would suggest his contract's to 2021.
2021, yeah.
I think you better look at the fine print.
I haven't got that here, Steve. It's not available to us.
Do you know his lawyers?
What is success for Madrid? What will keep Santi there next season?
Well, I think doing something unexpected will keep him there next season, as Steve alluded to there, which is probably winning the league.
Really?
And that's not beyond the bounds of possibility. They're only 4 points off at the moment, and it is an inconsistent Barcelona by their own high standards. I think beyond that, I mean, I don't rate his chances of being in charge beyond the end of this season. I have to be honest. I think he'll get a very nice payoff, probably a year's money. It won't be to the very end of 2021.
So you've seen the fine print?
No, I haven't seen it, but I can speculate as to what it is. So I think great for him, delighted for him, but I wouldn't view it as long-term employment.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Extra Time. Oh, full house here. Chambers here.
I like how you get into it, and you're actually you're actually looking at the screen, touching.
Ah, this is it. Now, for people who don't know what I'm talking about, you'll have to listen to the podcast if you're just watching this on the old computer or phone or wherever else you consume your social media, Stephen.
What are you looking at me for?
Well, you are the social media whiz.
The guru.
Why does the media always pick on players like Pogba, Martial, Alexis? Well, players like Nemanja Matic get a free pass. He's been poor for months now and provides our back four with no cover. He needs to be dug out. You're in the media, John.
OK, shall we dig him out?
Go on, then.
I don't think he's been very good, has he? And maybe we need to say that. So, yeah, I take your point. But if you carry the...
It's not my point.
If you... OK, I'll take the point that's in front of you here. If you carry the profile...
Don't get angry,
indeed,
John. Don't get angry.
I find it very difficult not to with him. I really do.
Just let it go.
OK. Pogba, Martial,
Yep.
Sanchez, big price tags,
Yeah.
big expectations, big profiles that they seek themselves, you need to perform. I think Matic doesn't go around looking for the profile in the same way, but he hasn't performed this season, so I think he does deserve more scrutiny than he's had.
More scrutiny he deserves, Stevie?
I don't think so.
You're not my friend anymore.
Of course I am, John.
Oh, thank you.
For now.
No, because he's... I love this. People complain, well, we don't have enough cover for the back line. Well, guess what? The back line has to do a job every now and again when it's asked to defend. And Matic, I think, doesn't do a bad job, considering that the players that he's been playing with, I don't think help him out. He ends up half the time for me being caught too deep because the defenders want him in front of them.
Right.
And sometimes he ends up too high because the others are trying to push him further up. So he ends up not doing the job that he's best at. And that's finding a good position right in the middle so that the ball's knocked out when they're attacking, he gets it, but then he's deep enough or not too deep that when he needs to defend, they win it back at a decent position in the field.
And I'd add in...
And all these other geezers you're talking about, sorry, Frank, all these other geezers here...
Yeah, on my bit of paper.
Guess what? Man United are sixth in the league at scoring goals. And all these guys on that list are getting a lot of money to score goals. And that's what the game's about.
Maybe not Pogba so much, but for me... for me, the biggest thing...
Matic there. Get rid of Matic
No,
and stick
I think
Pogba
the
there.
biggest thing for me for Matic, he hasn't been as good, but he still goes through the process of what he likes to do, and that is playing balls forward. And right now, Manchester United are all over the place with regards to shape, but he's still trying to force balls into bad spots when at other times in other years, people were in better spots to receive those balls. Too many people for Manchester United at this point in time receive the ball, look up, have no option. They play backwards. And
how do they look up again? How do they look up again?
The same way everybody looks up. Do you want me to go down? That would be really weird.
Was that Raf? Was that your phone ringing? Do you really think a Super League is going to happen?
I don't think it is going to happen in the near future. I think the Super League is what nuclear weapons were during the Cold War, a credible threat, a deterrent, but nobody really wants to make it happen. From time to time, you have to pretend it's very close to put UEFA under more pressure. But if you look at this year's new and revamped Champions League with a new format, the top 5 leagues already have 19 out of 32 starting places. So really, it might not be called a Super League, but it's come very close to what they're threatening to do anyway, which was to break away.
You like the idea of a Super League?
No, I don't, but I agree with Raf. We are pretty close to it already. And I just think it will become boring.
I don't think Raf said it was close, though. He said it's just...
No, close to it in terms of what the Champions League has become, with the leading sides guaranteed a certain amount of progression. I mean, I fear the day when we get to an NFL-style situation, whether it's a European league or a national league, where membership is guaranteed, and you take away the prospect of the peril element of competing in that league. And that, of course, is what a lot of these club owners want. So I pray that we don't get to a European Super League.
Why you hate the NFL?
I don't hate the NFL.
Well, it sounded like it.
No, the NFL is what it is, and it's extremely successful. It's just that we come from a different culture where that peril is a big part of the sporting picture.
I'm going to move on. Raf, are Jadon Sancho...
His NFL knowledge isn't so good, so he's like, got to move on.
Wow. What?
It's true.
It is very true. Are Jadon Sancho and Jacob Broom-Larsson, Raf, now the preferred starters over Christian Pulisic for Lucien Favre? It's a little surprising he didn't even come off the bench this weekend. What's going on?
Well, Christian Pulisic has a lot of competition, and that is because Mario Götze is back in the picture. Marco Reus is completely undroppable. And then you're fighting for 1.5 places. So it's normal that he's not going to play as many games. And Jadon Sancho in recent weeks has just been absolutely sensational. I don't think Broom-Larsson is necessarily more of an automatic starter than Christian Pulisic. But with Sancho, Reus and Götze and Alcácer being there, it's going to be very difficult for him to get as much starting time. The good news is I think that Dortmund will go deep into a lot of competition. So his time will come.
What would you say to him, Brian, if he rang you up in the summer, he's not starting these big games, said, "Oi, Mr. McBride,
well, that's
you're
the
old."
Thing, right? I mean, we talked about the possibility of him moving, and all of us felt he was just in such a great opportunity to get so many games at a high level. And if he's not getting those games, I certainly think you need to start looking what your other options are. I also think that Sancho is still learning this process, where I think Christian Pulisic has been in those positions.
Yeah.
You look at this last game. In the first half, Sancho was non-existent. I mean, he was afraid to take players on. Christian Pulisic has no fear, and he knows what to do in those situations. Now, granted, second half was better for Sancho, but I think that might be part of the reason why he's playing in these games, and not necessarily because Christian Pulisic isn't good enough or isn't better than.
Final question is for you, Ali, and it's a story you brought up, I think, on yesterday's Extra Time. Can Ali Moreno tell us the time he was banned from one of the US men's national team meetings?
Yeah. So I used to do the Mexico game for the network, and at one point we were going to do US-Mexico in Mexico, and everybody that was covering the game, I think it was... Yeah, our whole squad that was covering the games were going to meet with Jurgen Klinsmann.
So it was you, Taylor, and Ian? Would it have been?
Yes, and Casey Keller would have been there. Alexi Lalas would have been there. Bob Lee would have been there. I mean, everybody was there. They were all allowed to go meet with Jurgen Klinsmann prior to the game to get information about what the plan was, lineup, whatever, all these things. As you do in preparation for these matches. Again, all day, all of them were allowed to go into the room. I was given the old thanks but no thanks phone call just 5 minutes before and said, it probably would be best if you didn't attend. And yeah, it was essentially coming from the Jurgen Klinsmann camp that I could not go into the room.
And the reason being?
Because apparently I was going to take all that information, turn right around, and give it to the Mexican national team.
Well, you would have, wouldn't you?
I mean,
That's exactly what you would have done. Double agent.
first of
He's
all,
a double agent.
First of all, just a clarification. I am not Mexican. I had no interest in either team, U.S. or Mexico, for that matter, and I would.
I saw you on a float doing Cinco de Mayo one time. So why were you doing that then?
When was that?
That was in Houston. That was because I was the only Spanish-speaking player in the team at the time.
Well,
you know, I
Memory
the double agent is not unfounded.
So, in any case, yes, I did not get access to the meeting.
I like it.
And I did not divulge any information either. Because, of course, there was no information to divulge.
They're going to tell you.
Apparently, I don't know.
That is it. Thank you very much. Are you back tomorrow, John? Or
No, one day.
One day. Thank you very much. ESPN FC. You're flying, Brian, tomorrow?
Yes.
Enjoy your dinner this evening.
Yeah, thank you. Very little. Thank you very little.
Where you going?
ESPN FC back then tomorrow. It was a cracking match, wasn't it, at the weekend that saw Borussia Dortmund come from behind to beat Bayern Munich, meaning now their lead over the defending champions is 7 points. We know Ralf Honigstein, Jupp Heynckes isn't coming back. They've confirmed it, you know, he's not going to come out of retirement for the 75th time. So, the question is, if he was available, would they pull the trigger now? Would they bring him back if they could?
Yeah, if he was available, they would pull the trigger, but he isn't, and there isn't really anyone else who Bayern are convinced could come in straight away and make a very difficult dressing room perform better. And that is the reason why Niko Kovac is surviving at the moment, almost by default. Bayern don't want to be appearing too panicky, and I think they're almost starting to believe that this is a season that they'll have to write off, not just because of Kovac, but also because they underestimated the need to overhaul and freshen up the squad. It still might change when the likes of Tolisso and Coman and Alphonso Davies come in at the end of the year. But by and large, they underestimated Dortmund, they underestimated their own problems. And it's not going to be solved by just changing the manager. So I think Bayern, for once, will take a slightly more relaxed view and believe that the big change can only happen in the summer.
It's extraordinary to hear that when we just remind you how easily Bayern have won the title over the last 6 seasons, at least by 10 points. Ralf, are we in a situation now where they're no longer favourites?
No, they're no longer favourites because 7 points is a lot, and this Dortmund team have the momentum, they have depth. The most striking feature, and there were many really interesting parts of it, what was, as you said, a thrilling game. The most striking feature for me was that Dortmund had more strength on the bench. Bayern brought in Renato Sanchez and Sandro Wagner. Dortmund brought on Dahoud, Delaney, Alcacer. They still had a couple of really good players on the bench. So for once, Dortmund, with their youthfulness, their freshness, their pace, seemed to be going in the right direction. And Bayern still a formidable force, are at best stagnating, but in real terms, of course, regressing because they're not getting close to the usual performance level. So with 7 points and the big game already done, of course, Dortmund are favourites at the moment.
The US currently have a vacant spot when it comes to its coaching position. Why don't they just throw lots of money at Tata Martino and get him in charge?
I think there's probably a few reasons, and one, and first and foremost, will be the fact that he's shown everywhere he's coached he needs to coach a certain style. He wants to play a certain style. And that style is not conducive for the United States in the long run. In the long run, maybe once we have enough technical players.
Right.
But in the short run, there's going to be times where a team has to set up and know how to defend, get behind the ball. If you need to be more direct, that's some of the things you have to be able to coach. And I think there's some other coaches inside MLS that also have been a part of the U.S. men's national team that can do that and have a better impact in understanding the culture of what U.S. soccer was and what it should be.
I would contend that actually Tata Martino is in the best position to be the manager for the U.S. national team. When you think about that, there's a vast experience, and it's not only Barcelona and Argentina, but what is more like the United States in terms of style, Paraguay. A team that he was able to rally around defensive shape, work out of the midfield, just enough goals and set pieces, very much like what the United States play and what they're capable of doing. So yes, I agree that they're not the sort of team that is just going to build out of the back. Well, if that's the case, then Greg Berhalter, that's what he tries to do with the Columbus Crew. Right. And so therefore, I look at it, if it is about styles, Tata Martino can win with a team that plays out of the back and can win with a team that is going to be defensively sound, that is going to win set pieces, and is going to win 50-50 challenges. That's what he did with Paraguay and led them all the way to the World Cup in 2010, and it's a team that was so very difficult to beat. I think he can do it both ways.
Stevie, where do you stand on this?
I think the fact that he doesn't really speak English probably is the biggest thing against him. I agree with what both guys are saying. Yes, he's shown that he can play attacking football. Does he have the talent? No, he doesn't. He's shown he can do it with Paraguay. He can organise, but if you can't really sit down and communicate with your players properly, how are they supposed to follow instructions? I think that's probably the biggest mark against them.
How are the revs with you and your Scottish ways? Is that okay?
I just brought in Scottish players.